The constant reminder that we're just a speck of dust is a fear that
they captured that actually really well in Men in Black, and maybe it was the second one. Do you remember
the first one?
Was it the first one?
Yes, the marbles.
The marbles, yeah. And what was it was our whole galaxy or something?
It was
a marble, or there was more than that. I can't remember.
It was our whole galaxy was a single marble,
and there was just a ton of marbles.
There was not only a ton of marbles, it was literally there was a creature playing marbles.
Yeah.
Marbles is a game. If anybody doesn't know.
We were in a marble of a creature playing with. Yeah.
Yes, dude.
Welcome back to the show. There's no telling where we'll go. So come and share a laugh on the Imp And Skizz podcast.
What are you afraid of, man?
Everything.
No. Just lots of stuff.
There's a lot. Like, what are you asking? Like, I'm afraid of dying. That's obvious. I think most people are.
Yeah, but I think I'm talking about more like we're just talking about just fear. Now, here's the deal. I don't want to talk a whole lot about the fear aspect of chasing dreams and stuff. I want to just play in the fun space of fear.
Oh, okay. So like fear of failing at YouTube or this podcast failing, like. We'll leave that kind of off the
that's
table
all. Like we get that. I'm talking about just like your personal vessel. Like what are you trying to stay away from? What are you?
Well, we talked about when we were doing the We're Idiots one, and I was like, oh, I used to jump off my parents' roof or whatever. Somehow that's changed because last time I had to get on my roof. Like by the time I got to the top rung of the ladder, where you have to like make that transition from the top of the ladder to the roof, which was only like, I don't know, 12 feet in the air, not super tall, but I was shaking, literally shaking. I'm like, whoa, when did I get this fear of heights? Do you fear more when you get old?
I'm starting. I think our own mortality becomes closer to us, and we start to realize. So I think. So I actually have always been sort of like had this weird fascination with heights. I've always liked them, but I mean, dude, when I jumped out of a plane, I wasn't nearly as afraid as I was as when I was like, it was a ladder story. And my house, a couple houses ago, the 2-story house, and there was one room where the roof of that room was the roof of the second story. It was one of those big rooms, real high up. And I was painting that room. And to paint the top of a 2-story house when the ladder's touching the bottom story.
That's gotta be like 20 feet.
Yeah, way up there, right?
Way up, yeah.
Now imagine it's one of those ladders where it's like a telescoping ladder, clink, 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 and I had to put it on its highest setting. So I'm up on the top of this thing and it is just wobbly. And I'm just like, what? And I'm trying to edge it in, and I remember being like, I was more comfortable when I jumped out of a plane than I am right now. So I'm kind of in your camp on at least that one.
Yeah. Okay. So heights are there now for me.
Yeah.
But like, there's a lot of other stuff. Like we have scorpions.
Yeah.
Like a lot of scorpions because we're in the desert. And I've never been stung by one, but my dad was when he was younger. He got stung in like the toe or something, and apparently he's allergic. So his like toe like completely swelled up. I can't remember exactly if he had to go to the hospital or whatever, but like it was bad.
Yeah.
Like he got stung by a scorpion and it was bad. And I'm like, I've never been stung, so I don't know if I'm allergic and it would get like seriously bad. So like anytime I see a scorpion, my wife, if she sees a scorpion, she calls on me, like, and the kids too. Like I'm the scorpion killer of the house.
Me
Sorry
too.
if you're a scorpion lover. I self-preservation.
I'm not gonna lie, my family gets
self-preservation, exactly.
Yeah.
So I'm the one that always gets called upon, but yet like whenever I do, it's all I always like get a pole or something, so I don't have to get like super close to the scorpion when I kill it because I don't want to take the chance. So yeah, scorpions also scare me. Rattlesnakes, we have those out here.
Ooh, we do.
As well. Snakes in general, any reptiles really fright. I don't know why I'm not a reptile guy. But like reptiles kind of creep me out a little bit. But yeah, the idea of getting bit by a snake, especially a poisonous one.
Well, that's
would that kill you? Does rattlesnakes kill you?
It very much could. It could. It's not. I mean, if you're not able to tend to it right away, it could. Everybody reacts to this stuff differently.
Are you supposed to suck the poison out?
I hear that.
See, I don't even know. Like here we are living amongst rattlesnakes. I don't even know what I'm supposed to do if I get bit by one. That's probably bad.
Well, so when I came up on a rattlesnake years ago, now this is where I'm kind of an adrenaline junkie, and I just.
You like to play with fire.
I was playing with it, and I got lucky because I was getting as close as I could with my hands. And I mean, my brain's like, "Do you think you're faster than a rattlesnake, Skizz?" And it's like, "Because you're not. You're gonna lose, Yeah. But I would just like was really, I don't know, something came over me. But when it comes down to a scorpion, I'm waiting because I live just right down the road, and they're in my house all the time, and it makes me nuts to the point where I can't just go downstairs and get a drink of water without putting some flip flops on. You know what I mean? I'm so worried about the day I step on one and it gets me, and I never see one, and I'm like, hey, look, a scorpion. I'm always like, oh, like it's still to this day, it's still like just jars me, you know.
Thanks for testing the compression on the podcast recording. I appreciate that. You can find out in editing how that worked.
Yeah.
But yeah, no, I'm with you, man. Like, oh gosh, I've had my youngest, she's 11 years old now, but she was even younger then, like wake up in the middle of the night with a scorpion crawling on her in her bed. And like, no,
I don't like
that's
that.
not okay. And like everyone listening right now is like, you have scorpions, burn the place down.
Yeah.
Wish we could, but no. We just got to deal with them.
Well, because here's what you hear. If you see a scorpion in your house, well, congratulations. You have scorpions. Meaning you can't get rid of them.
Right.
You just can't do it. And I don't buy, I would say I don't, actually, no, I do buy that because the amount of money I've paid to like for professionals to come do what they need to do and put down the diatomaceous earth and do the poison. I mean, everything you can think of. And sometimes they subside for a little bit, but this is a scorpion podcast at this point. But
my dad went on a full offensive on scorpions. He was having like a major issue with scorpions, and he was like, "That's it. I've had enough." And instead of hiring a professional, like he did all the research himself, bought everything he needed to buy on Amazon, and like basically just coated the entire yard, house, everything with scorpion killer. And I think he solved it at least for a day.
Well, when did this happen?
Years ago.
And
years ago.
for real?
No, I think he did. I think he didn't have to deal with scorpions for like the rest of the time he was in that house.
Oh,
so
okay.
I think there is a way, but you have to go on a full blown
I felt like I did. Dude,
offensive.
I was ordering stuff like this, like special stuff online and doing it myself. And like got one of those pumps where you put the poison in there and then you pump, build pressure, spray around. Oh my gosh, I was doing everything you could possibly imagine.
I'll reach out to him, find out what he got.
Yeah.
So maybe we both need to do it. Although with all the landscaping and stuff that we've had done recently, I haven't seen any in a while. So I think it like scared him into McBean's yard.
They're no, they're just hanging out. They're just waiting for everything
That's
to come.
true.
Yeah.
It is winter too, so I think they're good.
Okay.
Anyway, yeah, scorpions. I don't want to get stung. I don't want to get bit by a rattlesnake. I don't.
Spiders, dude. I don't like spiders. Now scorpions are part of the arachnid family, but
It's interesting. Like I'm not that squeamish about spiders, and I've actually got bit by a black widow before.
yeah, but you didn't know you were.
No, but that actually did a number on me. I felt terrible,
Yeah, it was
but
really
it didn't
bad.
kill me. So
No, it was really bad though. Like you end up in the hospital, I think.
I think I did end up having to go to not the hospital, but like a urgent care type thing.
Yeah, okay. No, that was So have you seen those spiders here's the deal. Have you seen those spiders that carry their babies on their backs? Right? Because the scorpions do this too. You found one in your yard, I found one in my There was one at my house. This is again not this house, but another house. And I was
The
like,
one you burnt down because you
I was thinking about it. This spider was massive, bro. And it was, and my wife's like, look at this thing. I'm like, that's not its body. Those are babies. Like and I'm like, okay, this is going to get real bad real fast. But if these get away, then just like this is our front door. I'm going to have hundreds of these spiders around this area. So I grabbed the poison. And the first thing I did was I did a circle of poison around it, to trap them all, which I don't like killing anything. So it just still messes with me. But I did a big old circle around it. They knew it was up. And it looked like the body melted because they all just jailbreak. Oh, I got the goosebumps, dude. And I was just like, oh God, whoosh, just like spray as much as I could. And I still to this day, it just gives me the creeps. It just, that's a real fear I have.
threw up in my mouth a little bit, picturing that. Told that story way too well.
Gnarly.
Now everybody listening is like, oh yeah, I also feel squeamish.
You told that story way too well. Is that what you said?
Yeah. I guess that's part of what we do is paint pictures through audio. But
that's what we're supposed to do.
Oh yeah. What else, man? What else? I mean, we just like, oh yeah, jumped right in. Dude, I don't like. We said we're not going to talk too much about like death.
No, go ahead, dude.
Like, I don't like the idea of suffocating.
Oh, dude.
That just seems like a horrible thing.
Yeah.
Like just not being able to get oxygen.
Or just drowning in general.
Yeah, drowning, suffocating. Yeah. The stuff like that definitely scares me.
Have you ever almost drowned? I mean, well, your story, I mean, you don't remember, you don't have
right.
Your sister was able to fetch you
she
out.
pulled me out before I ever got to a drowning level. So no. No, but like you ever like do those things where you try to see how long you can hold your breath?
Yeah.
And it gets very uncomfortable.
It does. And I remember my longest was a minute 35. I was younger, but I was working on it. But you have such control over it. It's a different gig. But I do remember one time I was in a small pool. And by small pool, it was almost like, is this even a pool? Like it almost looked like it was a really nice, fancy pond / waterfall in the back of somebody's house. I remember where I was at. I was very, very young. Well, it was big enough for a raft, apparently. And it was just like a small raft, and there were 3 of us, just me and 2 other kids. We were just playing, and nobody did anything wrong. But at some point, I don't remember how this happened, but I went underwater, and I went to come up, and the raft was there. So I went to go on the outside of the raft, and no matter what I did, some weird, like chain of events, I couldn't get away from the raft. I couldn't not do, and they weren't. To this day, I don't think that they were, they weren't evil kids. I couldn't do it, dude. So it got to a point where it's like, dude, I need to get up. I need some water. I need some air. I need some air. I'm going to die. Like it was like, and now that the panic to this day, I can conjure up that panic because I remember like I couldn't, it wasn't a place where I could put my feet on the bottom and push them up. I just had to get up and I couldn't get it to happen. I remember like slowly accepting my fate and almost doing that gasp of pull the water into your lungs moment. Like it was that bad. Yeah. And then I got lucky and I happened to find that opening and came up. I just that whole thing. Dude.
The funny thing is, like, you probably would have been okay for a few more minutes. You know what I mean?
It's weird how that works. Yeah.
But like, you panic and stuff. Do you remember when we did the Tough Mudder?
Oh, yeah.
And we were coming up on what they called the Arctic Enema.
Oh, my gosh.
Which was a giant bath, basically, filled with ice water. And then you had to get across it. But in the middle of it, there was like a wall across the top. So you had to submerge yourself.
To go under
100%.
Because above the wall was barbed wire.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So as we're going through it, they had just poured like a fresh batch of ice on the other side of the wall.
With a tractor.
Yeah.
So we're clear.
So it was like a bunch of ice, but it was on the other side of the wall. So as we went under that middle wall and started to kind of come up, there was so much ice that I panicked at that moment. I was like, I don't think I can get like up, like my head up through this ice. It felt like a layer of solid ice.
Yeah.
There was so much ice. And I started to panic a little bit.
Yeah.
I thought that was it. I thought I was going to drown in the Arctic Enema and Tough Mudder. And I'd signed a waiver saying if I did die that nobody could press charges. So I was like, this is great. This is how I go. Because they poured too much ice in this thing.
I was right with you too. And it's funny because there's like 21 or 22 different obstacles. And that was the only one I was afraid of because I don't handle cold well. Yeah. I cannot handle
freezing
cold.
To death is probably one of your fears.
But it's weird because I mean, it would be, I don't know, that would be a slow, awful death, but there's some cold shuts me down where I can't use my motor skills and stuff. So like when your body has this propensity to protect its vital organs, it's why your feet and your hands get colder faster because it's like your hands
blood gets diverted to your vital organs.
Yeah, put it in the core. Yeah. Well, I'm a tall dude and whatever, that's always on overload for me. So the slightest bit of coolness and then my hands and my feet are instantly cold. So here I know I'm going to jump into this. And keep in mind, this bathtub of ice is like 20 feet long. It's basically one of those big garbage canisters you see outside of construction sites. That's what it was, right? So it's about 20 feet long and you jump in, they have a ramp on the front, ramp on the back. You jump in, you got to get through it. And I was just like, I was dreading it for weeks before we went. Yeah. And I remember one of our buddies, Luke, was with us and he was awesome because as we approached it, I could see it in the distance and he's like, don't think about it. Don't think, just jump. I'm going to go with you. Like he was just in my ear. He was awesome. And I was just petrified, man. Petrified because I'm like, I'm going to get in there and I'm going to lock up. And we jumped in. And it wasn't like, oh, it's chilly. It was like painful cold, like gripping cold. Yeah. And then I get to the middle. And like you said, I reached underneath and I just was like, just go. And I plunged my head in and I swam underneath. And on the other side, it felt like I was the Hulk just coming out of all that ice, And I got.
There must have been it must have been at least a foot of ice on the top surface of the water. It was a lot. It was to get
ridiculous.
Through. It was dangerous, I think.
And I got out and I stood up and Luke was already getting out and he looked at me and I was like, it was like frozen. He's like, you can't just stand there, man. You got to move. And it took me I finally got out. But once I got out, I felt amazing. But it brought up later in the Tough Mudder, like many miles later, because it's like a 12-mile thing. many miles later, there was another, not Arctic enema, because it was also, keep in mind, it's winter when we do this because we're brilliant. And it was like a 30-foot jump into a big, like a big thing of water.
Yeah, that's right.
Yeah.
Was it a rope swing? And then you kind of
No.
Or you just
No,
jumped off a
climbed a
diving-
wood thing. You climbed this wood like rickety thing, and then you jumped in. And it was one of those things where I was like, dude, if I got through the Arctic enema, I can do this. This is fine. But when I looked over, it reminded me of another fear I have. And because the water was black.
Yeah.
Black, dude.
Yeah.
And
I was afraid that once I hit the water, I'd get turned like upside down and not know which way was up.
Yeah, and I was afraid. I was
like,
afraid I was
somehow
going to land
lose
on
that.
somebody, or somebody was going to land on
Yeah.
me. And I remember this person jumped, and I'm like waiting, and then the guy, one of the workers, like, okay, go. I'm like, no, I'm going to wait.
Yeah,
till
where
I see
is that person?
Yeah, and I waited, and then I saw them bob up. I'm like, okay, so I go. I hit that water. You're wearing shoes and everything, and I went deeper than I thought I was going to.
Yeah, and swimming in shoes is tough.
It's tough, and getting
I feel like they're anchors
yes,
pulling you down.
Yes, like actual hunks of metal is what it feels
Yeah.
like you're wearing. And I swimming up, and I'm like, I can't see anything, and I realize I think everybody's uncomfortable with this, but it's because I don't know if you have this fear, but I have a fear of the ocean, dude, like a genuine fear of the ocean, not the beach. The ocean.
No, I love the ocean.
Oh, when we go on our cruises and stuff, I love the ocean too. I really do. But if I was in a boat in the middle of the ocean, they're like, dude, let's still pop out and take a dip. I'd be like, no, thanks. You know what I mean? The idea of being like, there's like miles of water underneath me and I don't know what creatures are there. Like, no, I don't like it.
Is it like sharks? Are you
Yes.
like worried about sharks?
Sharks. Yeah, dude. Come on. Sharks, dude. Like all of it. Sharks. I mean,
I mean, like if you cut yourself and then jumped in and they smell blood miles away or whatever, I'd maybe be scared then. But I think for the most part, sharks don't want anything to do with you, especially a
don't.
person your size.
They
Like
don't.
you're bigger than most of the sharks of the ocean. So
this is a 5-course meal right here, dude. They're gonna want to. No.
Did you see that guy? He got in the water, meals for days. Yeah.
Start with his feet. That's my salad. No, no, you're right. I mean, that's what we know about sharks, right? Which we know very little, but anytime that they attack a human, it's typically a mistake, which is they think we're something else, but it doesn't matter. The bite still happened. And I think you think about stuff like that. And the idea of like when I go to the beach, I have to go in the water. I have to play with the waves every time I'm going to do it. But when I get out enough to where my feet aren't touching the sand and I realize I can't see 2 inches below the water because it freaks me out, dude.
Yeah. Yeah, I mean, I guess I do have some fear. I love the ocean. I absolutely do. And I was in it on last family vacation. We went to the Bahamas and we wanted to go snorkeling. And we found out this place that we were going to go snorkeling in had a lot of jellyfish in there. And I was like, I really don't want to get stung by a jellyfish. That sounds like it's pretty unpleasant.
Yes.
So, but I was like, whatever. It's probably fine. I'll just make sure I'm looking around and stuff. So we start to go snorkeling. They weren't kidding about the jellyfish. They were everywhere.
Yeah.
So, but I get out there and I start looking around and I'm surrounded.
Yes,
And I'm like, I don't know how to get out of here now without getting stung by a jellyfish.
Oh.
And so at that point, I'm like, I'm done. I'm not doing it. I'm calling this. Well, we lugged our snorkels on a cruise ship all the way to the Bahamas to go snorkeling at this place. And I called it off immediately because of how many jellyfish there were. I'm like, I'm not doing this.
That seems perfectly logical to me. That seems perfectly logical. I've never been stung by jellyfish that I know of. I kind of think I did.
Is
one
the
time.
jellyfish the one that if you get stung, you're supposed to pee on it or whatever? You pee on your sting.
Yeah,
Is that the one?
I've heard of that. I don't know how true that is.
I
but
don't think I would ask anybody to pee on me
I'll do it.
in any situation. You would.
I'd pee on you.
Oh yeah.
I mean, you don't even. Need
You
to
don't
get-
want that in
You
reverse.
don't need to get stung. No, I don't. I don't.
Do it right now.
I don't want it in reverse. But any chance to pee on you, I'll take it.
Oh, great. Now I know what's on your bucket list. Great. That's an odd thing to say. But as far as sharks, I'm not as super paranoid about the sharks as much because of my understanding in that, like you said, it's pretty rare that they attack humans. And if it is, it's because of an accident. But you know what does scare me? And it's something that you've been much closer to than I have. You told me a story about this, and I'm sure you'll get into it. Do you like alligators and crocodiles? Like, I don't ever want to be in the within 20 feet of either one of those.
Those get you, do they?
Yeah.
Yeah.
The idea of like an alligator, like grab it, like biting my arm and doing the little
The
roll,
roll, the
and
death
then
roll,
ripping my
dude?
arm off. Like,
Ooh.
no, I don't want to ever be close. Like Didn't you visited a campus when your daughter was looking
Lafayette
for schools, or
Yeah.
maybe she was playing in a softball tournament or whatever.
No, it
And-
was a college visit. It was Louisiana. In Louisiana's Lafayette.
And you said something like you just walk out and there was just alligators walking across the campus.
Yeah, but there was that was one of the. So you remember we had a school out here that had a peacock problem, right? GCC.
I'm not
has,
scared of peacocks.
No, of course not. But they had the same thing, but it was alligators, and they're like, just leave them be. I'm like, that scares me. But they're more like it's kind of hard to explain because I've seen they typically look like they're pretty benign, pretty little. You know what I mean? Like a lot of them are kind of little, but every once in a while you'll see like a clip on the internet of like a golf, like in Florida, for example, on the golf courses, there will be giant alligators, dude. And the golfers go up and just kind of poke them in the tail with their club and then they walk away. I'm like, what? What if that thing flipped around,
That's
man?
not okay.
Dude, I'm going to send you a clip. I came across, I think it was on TikTok. I just came across this the other day. There is a room that's like half concrete and then slopes down into water. It's a big room. And there is, if I'm remembering this, probably about 15 to 20 alligators in the room. And a guy just jumps in the middle of them. Just jumps in and just kind of does this thing with his hands. And they all just like listen to him. I'm like, what is going on right now, dude? I don't get it. I don't get it. I don't have, no, that would scare me too.
Yeah, I don't like alligators.
I don't know.
What's the difference between alligators and crocodiles, by the way? Do you know?
Crocodiles is the one that took Captain Hook's hand. I think.
I don't know if one was next to the other. I'd be able to identify them.
I think a crocodile, because I have no special, but I think a crocodile is a more slender, long snout. Like it's like it literally looks like a big saw in a way, and an alligator is. They have more of like a fatter, whiter snout.
I feel like you got that backwards for some reason.
You think so?
I don't know. We'll find out in the comments.
I think I did. Wait, what did I say? Which one has the white one?
I think the crocodile has the wider face and the alligator.
Oh, see, I
has
still think the
thin
crocodile
one.
has the thin
Do you?
one.
I don't know. We're going to find out.
Yeah, we'll find out.
We're going to find out. But you're right about Captain Hook. That was a crocodile, I'm pretty sure.
I'm pretty sure. That's the key difference.
Hey, well, that's good. That's good news. Somebody's going to educate us. You know?
Yeah. Okay, let's see. What else? I realize... So I want to talk more about the ocean because it doesn't. Would you get in the water in the middle of the ocean? And
Yeah, I think I'd be okay.
would you?
Yeah, I think I've done it before, actually.
Really?
Yeah.
What? How did you? What?
Parasailing. They take you pretty far out.
They do
in the ocean. I went parasailing and no, they didn't drop me back in the water. They pulled me in on the back of the boat.
Yeah, but what I'm hearing is if you were in the water, you'd have been fine with it.
Yeah.
I think I would have been like, get me out of this
Oh,
right now.
I've been jet skiing too out in the ocean.
See, I've only done jet skiing at lakes and stuff.
Yeah, it's fun in the ocean because there's waves to jump.
Oh man.
Yeah.
Okay. All right. So you have
This
no
time
fear.
my cousin didn't T-bone me either. It was great.
So my brother's a scuba diver and he does all sorts of stuff. Like he likes to swim with the sharks and stuff. Makes me absolutely crazy. We've talked about this before. He wants me to go scuba diving with him and I want to go. I really do. But I'd be like, no, I can't. The idea of getting in how these people do it, it just blows my mind because there's vulnerable. And then there's like, if one of these creatures wants a piece of you or whatever, it's not up to, you don't have any say in this. Like you're so outmatched. If you're low and your equipment fails, well, you're done there too. And it's going to be awful. If you go into a cave and you can't get out, well, there you go. Like, you know what I mean? So it's like, it's all those fears together that I think
being like whatever, 30 feet down and then your equipment failing, like you're done, right? Like
30 feet, they could probably get out of that. But I mean, they maybe not. I don't know.
How far down? Because like pressure, right? You have to, how do you deal with the pressure? Because even if I go to the bottom of my pool, which is only like 6 feet deep,
You can feel it.
You can feel it in
Yeah.
your ears or whatever, that pressure. Like somehow scuba divers figured out a way to not have a pressure buildup in their head.
No, so I can't. I mean, you know what? This would almost be a good podcast. Have my brother in to talk about it because he's like,
Let's bring your brother in.
he's
We're in a
been
new space.
I know he's been in Mexico getting his master's for diving, his diving master certification or whatever. But my understanding is you go down to a certain level and then you equalize. You do some sort of not plug your nose, but like push out and you equalize. You readjust by some sort of method. Pinch your nose and blow out your nose as hard as you can, and it does this thing to your ears. And then they go down further. They do it again. And what that ends up meaning is that coming back up, you kind of have to reverse it. You got to come up slow, or else that's when you get the bends,
you
right?
pass out, right? Like if you came up
you
too
get
fast.
like something like, and there's divers right now listening who are like, these idiots don't know what they're talking about. But there's something about if you come up too fast, you end up saturating your blood with nitrogen or something to that effect.
Right.
Like,
Yeah.
I could be way off here, but it's something to that level to where you can't just be like, okay, I'm going up now. Like if you're a deep diver, coming up is a process.
You ever seen the people that do like free diving? Like they go down without tanks, right?
Yes, dude.
Because they learned how to hold their breath for like
ever.
Yeah.
I was in Cozumel and I was snorkeling, and the water looked like drinking water. It was amazing. You could see like hundreds of feet. It blows my mind to this day. And our guide was a free diver, and so he just had his mask and a snorkel, and he goes underwater. I watched him go about 30 feet down, and it took him forever. I watched him reach under this giant rock and pull out this giant spider crab that crawled all over his arm. And then I watched him lay on his back and blow like a ring and then swim up through it. This whole thing took over like a minute and a half. And he's using muscle and stuff. And I'm watching this and I'm like, how? What is, dude, you need to breathe. Like I'm breathing the whole time because I'm just floating, breathing in my snorkel. So I don't know how they do it, dude. But yeah, we're tying all of our fears together.
Yeah. Yeah. Do you ever have a fear of flying at all? Like airplanes? You like get up in an airplane and crash? Me either. I've always been okay with it.
Me too.
Like you see a lot of people that like as the plane's going to take off, they're gripping the seat, and get anxious about it. And I'm just like, I love this part.
I do too.
Especially like when they gun it and you feel that like your back
G-force.
you back hit the chair, and it's just like, and then the second you can feel the plane actually take off the ground, you get that little bit of a whoop.
Yeah.
I love it.
I do too. And I remember I was coming home from, I don't know what it was. I was flying by myself, and I was sharing the seat with this newly married couple, and they were like these younger kids, and they were really nice, but the dude had a serious fear of flying. Like he never flies, and he was just a wreck. Like, but we haven't even taxied out yet. He's a wreck, and he's worried. And then they start to do the, and you can see him, and he starts to panic. And I look over, and his wife puts her hand on top of his, and I reach over, I put my hand on top of hers, dude. They both just started cracking up. It was what needed to happen. You know what I mean? And he just starts laughing. He's like, dude, thank you. I appreciate that. And we took off, and he was fine. But I get the same rush you do.
Yeah. They had a ride at Universal Studios that like, it was one of those where you sit in a chair and then they like just catapult you like 50 feet up in the air. You're just in this, like, it's straight up, and then it comes down and like whoop, and it kind of like dips and dips and dips.
I don't want to do
that. I love those.
I don't want to do
You
that.
don't like those?
No, something about that I guess if I had some sort of 100% guarantee it's going to work fine, I'd be okay. But I'm just like, this is what my wife was talking about.
I'm like now saying something in opposite of me having this afraid of heights. Like I love that. I love that thrill ride. Like the same thing with what was it used to be the haunted whatever, and now it's
that drop, that sudden drop.
Yeah, they shoot you up and then it opens the window so you can see out into it's at Disneyland, California Adventure, whatever. I forget the name, what they changed. Guardians of the Galaxy.
Yeah.
I love that one too because it kind of catapults you.
Yeah,
but I'm not afraid of heights on that one for some reason because I'm too busy getting catapulted.
Yeah, I think you just have an overwhelming confidence in the machinery, which you should. Mine's the other way. Mine's like, this is when it's going to fail. It's going to fail.
Dude, they run the thing hundreds of times a day.
Yeah, I'm not saying it's rational. And by the way,
but yeah, you do have your whole like,
that's what I'm saying.
Touch with technology that's going to break things. So I guess that makes sense.
Well, I'll tell you this. This is a weird fear, but it's a real one. And I have this weird fear of not insignificance, but the actual implications of how insignificant we actually are. And what I'm talking about is when I think about the infinite space. Okay.
Mm-hmm.
The fact that our galaxy is a speck of dust. Like I think about all the stuff that I focus on and what's important to me. And sometimes, so I have this trick where when somebody is making a big deal out of something, I developed this trick a long time ago when I was feeling overwhelmed by something going on in my life, whether it's maybe a performance coming up or a test or whatever, I would raise the POV into like a bird's eye view of my life. And I would see, I'm just this little guy just doing some stuff. It's just not that big of a deal. Mm-hmm. But every once in a while, it wasn't high enough. So I raise up higher to where now I can see the whole city. Look at all everybody in the city's got stuff going on. I'm just one of those people. Marching. Yes. And then it got to a point where I'd pull out to where in my mind's eye, I would see the globe. And I would be like, yeah, this is nothing. This is nothing to worry about. You know what I mean? It's like a
Yeah.
trick I use. But if you go up too high, then the fear starts to teeter the other direction where I'm like, man, it's not only is this not a big deal, none of this matters. Like, see what I'm saying?
Yeah, that's not a good place to
No,
live
it's
in.
not. And that's the fear I have is just being constantly reminded of just how eternal space is. I find it very fascinating, but the constant reminder that we're just a speck of dust is a fear that
They captured that actually really well in Men in Black, and maybe it was the second one. Do you remember
the first one?
was
dude.
it the first one?
Yes, the marbles.
The marbles, yeah. And what was it was our whole galaxy or something?
It was
a marble, or
it
there was
was
more than that. I can't remember.
It was our whole galaxy was a single marble.
And there was just a ton of marbles.
It was there was not only a ton of marbles, it was literally there was a creature playing
Playing with
marbles.
them. Yeah.
Marbles
That's
is a
right.
game. If
Yeah,
anybody doesn't know.
we were in a marble of a creature playing with. Yeah.
Yes, dude. And I remember like that scene because that movie came out a long time ago.
Yeah,
great
that's why
movie,
I'm
by
having a
the
hard
way.
time remembering it.
Yeah.
So old.
Such a great movie. But the scene finishes where they're at the park and it, like you said, it pulls out because they're sitting on a bench. And the camera goes up and out, and everything that you just explained is what
Yeah,
happens.
that's what your story reminded me of you panning out, and then I was like, wait, I've seen this, and they captured it in Men in Black.
Yeah. And so think of it this way, right? I remember seeing that and that scene making me sick, not emotionally sick, but making me sick because the realization of it was pretty daunting, right?
Mm-hmm.
It was to just, like I said, they were really, I mean, the point of that scene was to point out, you're not kind of insignificant. Like you were nothing. You know what I mean? Like this is all nothing. Not just you're not just the planet you're on, not just the solar system that your planet's in, but the galaxy that your solar system is inside means nothing. Like that's what that whole thing was, right?
Yeah.
Well, let's have some fun. If you remember the creature that was playing marbles, well, keep the camera going.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? What's that creature
That's
in?
in a marble.
And that's the fear I have. Like
Yeah.
that's the fear that since it's so infinite that we know so very little about it, how much higher does it go? And you know what I mean? Like it's so high, like how can that be a fear? But it is. It's some sort of weird fear.
The fear of insignificance.
It's a fear of insignificance, but it's like it's almost like the fear of severe insignificance. You know what I mean? Like when it comes right down to it, my everything has the same significance as a single grain of sand on a beach.
I
you know?
have a fear that there's a lot of people listening right now that have never given that any thought, and you just ruined their lives.
No, I didn't. You guys are fine. You're all fine.
That's the opposite of what we're here to accomplish, because we're
Yeah.
supposed to give hope and
Keep in mind, I'm very neurotic about certain things, and this is one of them. This is, and it goes all the way, but ties all the way back to the kind of the fear of the ocean. The fact that like there's on our own planet, all the way down there, there's so much we don't know because we can't get down there. I don't want to just float above that. Like that's the stuff where I'm just like, it's the fear of the unknown. Maybe it's the fear of the unknown.
yeah.
Could be.
Yeah. When you started talking about space, I was like, oh, I think I know where he's going. He's got a fear of going for a spacewalk and not being connected to the ship and just floating out into space.
Well, now I do.
Like, did you see The Martian, right?
Yes.
You see when he like jets himself up into space, and if he doesn't grab the thing or latch on to the other person from the spaceship,
Then
he's going to
you're
float
done.
off into nothingness. I have a fear of that. I don't know how that would ever come about. Like, I don't think I'm going to go into space.
You don't
Do you
know.
think we're gonna go into space in our lifetime?
Like-
We're gonna new subject.
You and me?
Do you think in our lifetime there's any reason that you and I would end up in space?
No.
Because I know they have it now to where what's the dude, the Virgin Media guy? He's got an airplane that can go into the outer atmosphere or
right.
whatever, right?
Mhm.
Branson.
I have no
What's his
idea.
name? So does Elon. I think has the similar thing. Where they can take you to what's technically considered outer space, but not really.
Right.
It's a plane that just went really high.
Yeah.
You know? So, I mean, but you have to pay apparently a lot to get on those planes. But
Imagine.
I have no need to do that. I have no reason to, I don't need to go to space. Unless our planet's like gonna die and we have to.
I mean,
Like,
it
I don't-
fascinates me.
it all fascinates me, but I don't like feel a need to get in a rocket ship and go into space just to experience it.
Oh, really? I think if it was presented to me, I don't know if I could get over the fear of it, but maybe. But because the idea of looking out the window and seeing the planet, like that's I'll admit that
would be cool.
that would
But
be sick.
they have really good pictures on the internet. I'll just
it looks just like the pictures I have in my living room.
Yeah, I don't want to risk my life to experience that firsthand, I think. So yeah, I guess I have a fear of dying in outer space.
Well, do you remember the movie? It was either Armageddon, which was the one where it was Armageddon, I think, where they wanted to blow up the media. They grabbed Bruce Willis's oil rig team, oil team. They, you were going to make you astronauts, land you on the meteor, and then you're going to, blow it up.
Yeah.
So there's one of his guys. I can't remember this actor's name. He's like a jovial, like a heavier set jovial guy, and I've seen him in other stuff, and he's so awesome. There's like this quick clip of something goes wrong. He's in a spacesuit. Something goes wrong, and there's an explosion, and it catapults him off into space, and it gives his POV for just a split second as the meteor is disappearing away, and he's screaming. You can it's almost like there's a camera like at his ear, so you can kind of see. It's hard to explain, but he's screaming, and his suit's not ruptured. He's not hurt. He's perfectly fine. So he's just going to float off into space until he's dead. Like that. I remember that. I remember like they just glossed over that part.
Yeah.
And then next thing you know, like at the end of the movie, when they're, celebrating all the people that went up into some were lost and some weren't lost, but there's a picture of him at the funeral or kind of honoring what, his part. And I'm like, he's probably still alive. You know what I mean? Like that's what
maybe
killed
go
me.
get him.
It's impossible. Like it's like he's probably still alive. Like remember, like when that movie came out,
Maybe he had his iPhone on him, and you could just do find my iPhone and
find my person, find my floaty body. I remember seeing that and being like, dude, he's just floating out there.
That would be terrible.
Yes,
just
dude.
like knowing there's nothing,
and you can't
do
get any control. Yeah. Nothing. You can wiggle all you want, but unless you have some sort of purchase on some sort of level, you have no control. And that was
what do you think kills you at that point?
Probably just oxygen.
Yeah, he'd run out of oxygen.
Probably that first.
Yeah, we talked about that. I don't want to die like that.
I don't. Yeah. What was the movie? Oh, it may have been The Martian. It was either The Martian or it was the Sandra Bullock one, where we're talking a lot about space, but this is all part of this fear. That one of them like went into this spin. Who was it? So one of them went they went into like a head over heels spin. Mm-hmm. You're in space. This is your reality. This is your reality for eternity. Like you have no purchase. And they ended up, I don't know. I don't remember how that scene rectified itself, but that notion of just unbelievable hopelessness, dude. I don't know how much you play with your VR, but there's an app on it that is the ISS, right? The International Space Station. Ooh. Where you can navigate and whatever, and it's fun. I'm in my living room, dude. And I go out for a spacewalk and I grab and I like pull myself and like go to grab on something else. And that notion of imagine that's real and you slip and you're not connected and you just float out there. What do you make me talk about this for?
Loss of control.
Yeah.
That's the bottom line there. You talked about VR. Actually, my daughter has been home from school, they're on vacation. And so she got bored and she wanted to use the VR. And so I've let her, and she started playing these games that are kind of like, I don't know if I could do because of the fear of heights thing. She got one that's like walk the plank and you're like walking across a plank over, like a giant, hole in the ground and trying not to fall or whatever.
Yeah.
And then she graduated from that to like free solo climbing, to where she's climbing up mountains.
Yeah,
and stuff.
I have that one.
And you fall, you actually fall if you don't grab and stuff. And I'm like, no, I think I would throw up.
I have that one. It'll make you nauseous. And it's kind of cool because as you're climbing, you've got it's a part of real climbing too, is that you've got to be cognizant of your fatigue and stuff. And so you'll see your hands will start to I think they start to light up red when you're going to lose grip strength. And you got to reach back behind you and you're chalking up and taking a break and all that. And when you make some sort of jump or you miss and your guy falls, he also gives this audible scream that he's falling to his death. And
I've heard it as she was playing. I've heard that scream.
Yes, and what you see is that the mountain rushing by, and you feel a little whoosh.
Oh man, I don't think I could handle that. I barely have used my VR headset. I just haven't found time to use it. So
see, get it to face your fears. I'm gonna go swim with sharks. This is a good idea.
All these fears we're talking about, we will experience them in VR and face our fears that way in a controlled and comfortable environment.
We got to find a way to stream it. That's a good idea.
Also got to find a way to put some risk behind it. Like that's the thing. You're not really facing your fears if it's virtual reality.
Yeah,
You
that's
know.
true. But it's a form of it. Here's another one for you. You ready for this?
Mhm.
Let's see. I don't necessarily have a fear of being alone, but I have this weird fear of I can't explain it. If I'm in a house and there's nobody in the house, nobody, and I'm including no dogs, no pets of
You've
any
never
kind.
had that in your life.
Exactly. I
You
mean,
don't
I
know what you're
have, but
talking
it's
about.
so rare. I mean, okay, I have, but it's so rare. Like to the point to where, this is going to sound silly, but I went to feed my brother's cats, and he's got 2 cats. There's cats there, so but there's no dogs. There's just the 2 cats. Pretty big house, and I went there, and it's just me and the cats, and I can't explain it. But when I'm in that arena, I feel like I'm being watched. I feel like I just can't. It's the weirdest thing. When I'm super alone, I just feel like I'm being watched. It's the same thing like when I go camping, right? We've had a time where we've been out camping, and for some reason, somebody we gotta leave. We're gonna drive down the mountain, go to the store, or whatever we're gonna do. But we want somebody to stay here. And I'm like, I always volunteer because oddly, I enjoy my alone time. But when I'm in the middle of the forest completely by myself, you better believe everything I'm listening is me thinking somebody is trying to get the best of me.
Oh, wow.
Whether it's a black bear or whether it's
Yeah.
a person or whatever.
Yeah, I get that. I mean, when you hear noises and stuff and then not knowing what's out there.
Yeah.
There's somebody made this sensory deprivation room to where the entire room has such amazing soundproofing that there's literally zero sound. Like if you got out one of those little sound meters that capture how many decibels are in the room, it's maybe negative. I don't know.
Yeah.
There's no sound. And apparently if you go in there and you shut off all the lights and everything and there's zero sound, people go crazy. You can't physically stay in that room for too long without going
I've
nuts.
heard that. That's a bucket list item because I've heard it, and I've also heard other people say, "Yeah, I was in it for an hour. It's fine." But I've heard what you're saying because my understanding is you can hear your own heartbeat in there, and I know I can picture it because not only is the whole thing soundproof, but literally you're standing on grates where the soundproofing is underneath it. There's nowhere for sound to bounce at all.
It would be interesting to experience that.
Yes, I did. Bucket list item, dude.
Hearing your digestive system working.
Yes, dude.
Would be a trip.
Yes, you could. Yep. Up.
We lost the light in the room.
Lost the light over there. Wait, am I still handsome? I'm fine. Only
people,
one light.
people listening on the audio is like, well, what? Yeah, one of the lights just went out in the room.
I refer to myself as handsome a lot, and believe me, I believe the exact opposite. That's why I make that joke.
The light went out because it didn't want people to see your faces.
The light itself was like, I'm going to spare them.
Well, we're dealing with low lighting now.
Yeah, it's fine. Don't let the light derail you. What were we talking about?
The
Gosh,
sensory
darn it.
deprivation and
Yeah.
I don't know. Do you think you can handle it? So like you said, there are people that have gone in and been like, I can't do this. Get me out of here. I'm gonna go nuts. And then there's people that are like, yeah, I spent hours in there and I'm absolutely fine. I think it's obviously it's the type of person that you are dictates that.
Now you can't go in there. I mean, I think I could. I think I could. You know what I mean? Because I remember. Have you ever gone to Alcatraz?
No, just by it, not in it.
Okay, so if you go in it, anybody who doesn't know what Alcatraz is it's a prison that has been decommissioned, and it was decommissioned many, many, many years ago. But it's essentially on an island outside of San Francisco. Is it?
San Francisco.
Yeah,
that's correct.
It's on an island outside of San Francisco, and not like there's an island with a prison on it. The prison is the island. It takes up the entire island. And it was meant for the most high profile criminals of all
inescapable.
time. Literally. So most prisons, I think the prison guard to inmate ratio is 1 to 30, some even higher. And I believe at Alcatraz it was 1 to 3, which is one of the reasons that it was decommissioned because it's so very expensive. Okay, there you go. So this is a prison on an island in the middle of shark-infested waters. Even though the shark-infested part, I think, is a myth. So you go in there and you take this tour. You take an audio tour where you put on a headset, and then you walk, and it just based on where you're at, it talks to you in regards to that part. And They do a great job with the sound effects, the ambient noise, and now you're in the mess hall and all this. Well, when you go lower, there's a place called the Hole, and it's where they these are the worst criminals in the world. It's where they put the worst of the worst.
Mm-hmm.
It was almost where I was like, boy, I'm somebody who I'm not a huge fan of criminals, but who deserves this? This is bad. They would go, if they acted up, they would go in the Hole, not for an hour, for a week, maybe 2 weeks. And the Hole was a completely caged. When you went in there, it was as black as putting your palms over your eyes.
Oh.
I mean, it was black. It does not get any darker. And so they then had a little slide. They'd throw in food every once in a while. And these guys would be in there for, days, weeks at a time. And one of them, I was listening to an interview. It was actually his voice. And he had long passed, right? But he was talking about his time in the Hole. And I think he was there for a week. And he came up with a game where he ripped a button off of his shirt and he just would flip it in the air. And then he would just spend hours feeling the ground looking for it. And when he found it, he would do it again. I mean, if that's not the human mind just grasping for some sort of sanity or purpose, what is? You know what I mean? So that's why I'm like, I do want to give this deprivation room a shot. I do, but it makes sense to me how some people would last an hour and other people get me out of here because you probably just start to go nuts. But do they turn the lights off in there?
I can't remember.
Okay,
I think you have the option to.
Okay,
and it'd be pitch black.
Dude, let's do this. Let's find a way. I want to be in that room.
Going on the bucket list.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah. It's on the bucket list.
All right, we'll make a note of that. See, how you're thinking the prison too. A lot of times, you watch Ghost Adventures or whatever these ghost hunter shows, and they go into places like prisons because there's a lot of deaths that happen in prisons, a lot of murders and things like that. So a lot of times there's spirits they're supposed to be there.
Yep.
And so I would be afraid of that.
Well,
that's
fair.
We've been through the ghost stories thing, but I could imagine if you're in the Hole or whatever and you heard anything, you would be thinking it could be a spirit, who knows?
Yes, dude. And you're going, so there was a show, it wasn't Fear Factor. It was a show like Fear Factor. I don't remember what it was, but it was specifically around the supernatural where they basically had to do these challenges. And so they, the contestants were wearing these cameras, these POV cameras, and there was hidden cameras throughout the facility and all that. And they had to do certain things. And so, we play Phasmo and we're sitting in our computers playing Phasmo. They would go to shut down insane asylums. They would go to prisons and stuff like that. And then they have these challenges. Okay, you have to go to this room, you got to do this, whatever. And then, a lot of the time they're together, but every once in a while they go by themselves. Bro, there was one where the challenge was this. This person had to go, it was a prison. They had to navigate in by themselves, go walk into this prison in the middle of the night by themselves, this decommissioned prison. They had to go. Now they had something in their ear to where they're like, okay, now there's a flight of stairs on your left. They had to go all the way down to where there was an electric chair. I mean, that's how old this prison was, dude. They still had the electric chair, obviously not functioning. It's been shut down for years, but there was a chair there so the electric chair is right there in the middle of this room. And they look in, they look into this room and they see this electric chair. They're like, no. And they're like, you got to sit in that. Oh, and you got to sit in it for an hour. Oh. And see that blindfold? Put on the blindfold, bro. So they
I couldn't do it.
Right?
No
I would have been
I quit.
I'm out. I'll tag out.
How much money do they win?
Yeah, exactly. And this person, here's the crazy thing. I've always wondered how much the show got involved or if involved, but it was a girl who did it. And what a boss, because she put on the blindfold. She sat down in an electric chair. And I think I don't remember if there was something holding her wrist. Couldn't be because she was by herself. So anyway, she had to sit there and couldn't move. And when all was said and done, they're after an hour, okay, you can leave. So she gets up and she leaves calmly, doesn't run out. And she gets all the way back to their gathering outside of and they're like, so what's up? And she was super calm, but she's but something was off. Okay. Mm-hmm. And they're like, what's going on? And she's like, somebody kissed me.
Oh,
yes, dude. Cause she was blindfolded and she's like, somebody kissed me. And they're like, what? And so naturally, there's no footage of somebody. So my brain's like, would the producers have crossed that kind of line? You know what I mean? I remember thinking that. Would they cross that line and have somebody come kiss her just for views? Or What the heck? Because one of three things happen. Either they cross the line. Everything comes down to threes, people. Either they crossed the line and somebody kissed her, or there was a spirit that kissed her, or her mind filled in and I imagine filling in blanks to the level of you're feeling somebody kiss you.
Mm-hmm.
I mean, just dude. That's not going on the bucket list.
I can do it. Yeah, let's not put that on the bucket list. So last thing I want to talk about with fears is irrational fears.
Okay.
All right. So the thing that comes to mind for me is we both like Impractical Jokers quite a bit, and you know Sal, he's got what I consider an irrational fear of cats.
I'm calling it out. It's garbage.
He's got an irrational.
Nobody's
fear of
afraid
cats.
of cats.
Do you have any what could be considered irrational fears?
I've got to, right? This is going to sound kind of crazy.
I'll tell you if you can't think of it.
You think I have one?
Mm-hmm.
Oh no, you're talking about clowns. Yeah.
You have a fear of clowns.
That's perfectly
I know
rational.
you're not alone. I've heard other people
perfectly exactly.
How is this what's wrong with clowns? They're supposed to bring joy and fun and happiness.
They're awful.
Red noses.
Yeah.
What is this so scary about a clown? I don't get it.
I don't you know what, honestly, if I had to psychoanalyze it, I actually, believe it or not, I actually think it stems back to a certain moment in my life where this clown, in my opinion, was just being a clown and not doing anything crazy. But I was a very, very young kid. And he, clowns, personal space is not a thing. And he was all up in my business. And I was making it pretty clear, I don't want anything to do with you, clown. And I don't think I had fear of clowns at the time. It was that and also the combination of the movie It. But he starts sticking his finger in my ear. And that's too much for me. And I'm like swatting his hand away and he does it again. It wasn't like over the top, but it was one of those like, there's not having personal space. And then there's whatever you think you're doing. Who is this entertaining for? This is stupid. And so my whole life I've just been like, there's something behind that makeup that just spooks me. You know what I mean? Like this is you know what? No, this is an absolute irrational. This is irrational. And I dig it. I understand. I have to imagine that nearly 100% of clowns literally want to just bring joy. I get that. I really understand that. But it's a whole idea of having paint decide your emotion or having paint illustrate your emotion so you don't actually have to. Now I don't know what you're up to. You see what I'm saying? Like, that's what I think it is. Like one of my biggest strengths in life is I know people, I read people, but clowns have taken that ability away from me.
How does that play out at Halloween when kids are showing up at your door in a mask?
I kick them in the face. No.
I stopped answering the door for Halloween years ago. I just turned the light off.
Those are little, okay, that's a fair point. Little kids in masks, they're cute little kids. If it was a grown man in a mask, I'd be like, you can leave now. You know what I mean? Like that's what I'm saying. Like it is, you got me thinking. No, I don't have any problem with kids, obviously.
I'm trying to think if I have any irrational fears. I can't think of any. But I think it's also because we wouldn't know it ourselves. You know, like you wouldn't think about it. You wouldn't thought about it till I said it. Because I know that you had that fear.
Yeah.
And when you told me that, I just couldn't understand why.
Because not all people do, and it's. So I also so we talk. Okay, so we also talk about the fear. And let me ask you this: so when I was younger, when I was a freshman in high school, and there was still a lot of hazing going on with the drumline. We were still buddies. We still did a lot of fun stuff. And then one day they're like, it's time for Skizz to meet the Batcave. I'm like, what is that? And they're like, we're going to the Batcave. Now this is before cell phones. So this is, we did a lot of crazy stuff. And there's basically, it was like an irrigation, canal, like within the mountain near our house, way out in the desert. We drive there in the middle of the night. And of course it's kind of playing on my mind. I'm like, a lot of these guys don't really like me. They're going to leave my body here. Like, it's like, so we get there. And it's the dead of night. The only light that is allowing us any sort of sight is from the moon, the reflection of the moon. And so the desert has this very calming, very dark blue hue to it. And the hole in the side of the mountain was concrete. It was a concrete hole. It was meant for like irrigation through the desert. I don't really get it. And it was just, you could see the entrance of it. And all you could see was just black. Mm-hmm. I'm like, is that where we're going? They're like, yep, we're going in there. I'm like, whoa. And now I'm really pumped up, but I'm really afraid because of fear of the unknown. We start walking, and as we're going, you also have to crouch down because it's not that tall. Mm-hmm. So we're crouching over, and we're like, everybody keep a hand on the person in front of you. We all have to be touching each other. And we're going, and then like quite literally like a bat flies over our head, right? And so the panic ensues. Everybody just starts running. So now I cannot touch anybody. we're all just running in pure blackness. We don't know who we're going to. Now my brain's like, I could trip over a body right now.
Yeah.
I don't know what's going on. We run all the way to the other side and there's some moonlight right there. And we almost went into the water because it was kind of this weird setup. And then we had to make our way back. And it was super fun and super exhilarating, but it was the whole, like, I'm in the middle of the unknown and it is messing with me right now.
Yeah, I don't think I could handle that well.
Oh.
I don't know if I'm like afraid of bats or anything. Like that part wouldn't have got me. But
I think
just the dark tunnel and not knowing what, as you're running, what's in front of you.
Yes,
yeah,
dude.
That's scary.
I had my hands up in front of my face like the whole time. I was worried I was going to like smash into something. And I mean, it could have, what the heck were we thinking? But it was exhilarating, but it was exhilarating because of the fear component to it, you know?
I'm sure we can find a VR simulator for that too. if we want to continue this facing our fears via VR. Yeah, we'll stream it. Right.
Yeah.
Well, yeah, that'd be a good stream actually.
It really would, man. All right. Now, I want to hear your fears in the comment section.
Yeah. We always like when you guys feed the comment section. It's good for the algorithm too, but we like reading it.
Well, I like reading it too.
Yeah.
And that's my thing is that like, I want to hear your irrational fears, right? I mean, I have a fear. I have a fear of holes. Like holes scare me, like holes in the ground that go way down deep, and I can't see the bottom of it. Like that stuff spooks me, dude.
Yeah, I don't know if that's irrational, but we'll let them decide. Is that irrational? Yes or no? Yeah, but I'd like to hear some other irrational fears because the clown one I thought was pretty funny. So
shut up. You have to have some sort of irrational fear.
I'll think about it. I can't think of any now.
You're telling me if there's a clown sitting here right now listening to us, just looking at you, never blinking, you'd be fine with it?
I mean, if he was being creepy, I'd be
they're all creepy.
Not all creepy.
They're all
So somebody's got a job. Somebody listening right now has a job as a clown, and they're crying themselves, but you wouldn't know it because of the makeup.
You know, get another job. I don't know. I'm just kidding. No, you're fine. I don't hate you. Just a little bit.
It is fun to talk about fears, though. All right, another fun one. We've got to wrap things up here.
Yeah.
And hopefully next time we get together, well, the setup will have evolved even more, and we won't have lights go out in the middle of the podcast either.
Yeah, we'll get that.
Gotta love technical difficulties, but anyway, always fun chatting about stuff. Can't wait for next time.
All right, man.
See you guys later.